Happy Tuesday and welcome back to another podcast. Tuesday after a long weekend is the worst, but happy to be speaking with you, Deuce. How you doing?
It's a little slow down here, like you said. The 3-day weekend, the day going back is just brutal, especially the first few hours of the day. But this is a welcomed break.
Also, welcome to week. We're jam-packed this week with NFL previews, NFL prediction show, college prediction show later in the week, BMW. Exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, and if anyone on the East Coast, there was a little nip in the air this past weekend. It smelled and felt like football season finally.
It did, and it really delivered this weekend with college football.
Yeah, I saw there was, on the radio this morning, they had someone asked a question, which was better, this opening weekend of college football or the NCAA tournament? And I thought, well, that's crazy. Obviously, it was a tournament. And the next question was, can you remember a game from the tournament the opening weekend? And I was like, oh, not really, actually. I can't.
Yeah,
so maybe this weekend was better.
I did hear the same thing. I didn't hear the second part of the question, though. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to shift gears, though, and get into what happened up in Boston at the Deutsche. First things first, you gave us a top 5 with Adam Scott, finishing 11 under and 4 back of the red-hot Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, Adam almost got it done for us. He tried to sliver his way back door. He kind of stalled there in the second and third rounds, couldn't get the putter going, but that guy's golf swing is just so good, it's ridiculous. So I would expect him to continue to play well. But like you said, when he's on, he's hard to beat. Rory McIlroy fixed his putting. He didn't really get into what he fixed or what he was working on. Didn't look a whole lot different other than his actual putter. It looked like maybe a grip change slightly with one of his fingers, but one of those things we've seen in the past couple of years, when he gets on with the putter, it's hard to beat him because he hits the ball so freaking well. He started off on Thursday 4 over through his first 4 holes en route to a 71, and then just turned on the jet 67, 66, 65. He was playing against Paul Casey kind of head-to-head on the last day there, which is not really a favorable matchup for Paul. So I think we're about to see one of those classic Rory runs here.
So you're expecting the putter to stay hot?
I don't know how hot. I don't even think it was really that hot. I think it was more just like it was good. I think if he stays good with the putter or average to good, he's hard to beat. It's when he's the worst in the field with the putter that he's not going to win. So he goes to a course this week in the BMW where he won back in 2012. He did the same thing. He won back-to-back. It's a course where you can let driver eat. You got to hit it far. And I believe he was something like 47th in the field in putting back in 2012 and still got to 20 under. So it just shows you how good he hits the ball. And when he just has a good putting week, he's going to win.
What else stuck out to you from the Deutsche this weekend?
I think the biggest thing was the Ryder Cup implications. Nothing really happened. A lot of the guys who are on the bubble for picks didn't really do much. Pierre didn't do anything. Daniel Berger had himself in position. I know we talked about him last week. Had himself in position after 36 holes and just wilted on Saturday. Now, I will say that schedule this weekend was a little mixed up. They played in threesomes every day. They had early tee times trying to get it in before the storm. So maybe that's had something to do with it. But that's my biggest takeaway besides Roy for the week is that the Ryder Cup standings are pretty much unchanged, and no one really took control of anything.
The captain's picks considerations, you don't think anybody strengthened or weakened their chances? You think we're status quo heading into the BMW this weekend?
I think it's pretty much the same, yes. If there was one guy to point to that might be in a little bit of trouble, it's got to be Jim Furyk because he did not play well enough to move on to the BMW. So he is not going to get a chance to prove that he's playing well this week. So I think it's kind of up to the other guys now. If they play well, they can kind of take control of this, whereas Furyk is just going to have to take the wait-and-see approach and hope that they don't play well, I guess.
Any other big names missing out, move on to the BMW?
Just, a couple average ones, Russell Henley, Webb Simpson. The two biggest ones that people won't see are Steve Stricker, who has been playing pretty well. He just doesn't play enough to accumulate the points. And then Jim Furyk is the big one, the crown jewel that's going to miss it this time around. He also was hurt, first 6 months of the season, so that's the majority of the reason why he's not headed on to Crooked Stick.
Where do the FedEx Cup standings currently stand? Give us top 5, top 10 overview right now and what you expect.
Your standings right now are Patrick Reed is in the top spot still after another solid finish. Jason Day is in second. Dustin Johnson in third. Rory moves all the way up to fourth from his 38th spot. And Adam Scott rounding out the top 5, who finished, as you said, fourth, and he actually lost a spot in the FedEx standings.
Are all those guys still alive with a chance to win the Cup?
Yes. I think the top 30 are still alive. Basically, anyone who moves on is still alive with a chance to win the Cup.
Give us just a brief overview of what you expect this week at the BMW. We'll do the preview later this week, but just give us a quick overview.
Sure. Yeah, big names, like I just said, they'll all be there. There have been some course changes since 2012. When they played back then, the course was soaked from, I think, a tropical storm, kind of moving inland back then. And the guys just ate it up. Rory got to 20 under. There's a bunch of guys right behind him in the high teens. Looking at that leaderboard, there are a couple short hitters, but for the majority, it was let the big dog eat. The Bombers had their way. So it will be interesting to see what the course changes, how that will affect the style of play this time around.
Sounds good. We'll be back later in the week with the golf preview and your pick. Shifting gears back to the college football game. As we talked about earlier, fantastic weekend this past weekend. Give me your overall thoughts and what really stuck out to you.
Like you said, fantastic weekend. Some of the games lived up to the billing, especially last night's game, the last one, the nightcap, if you will, on the weekend, Florida State Ole Miss. I think a lot of teams did what we expected, and then there were some teams that didn't look ready to play week one. It's almost like they thought this was an exhibition game or this is a warm-up game. I think we saw some of the teams that we thought we weren't sure about. We are now a lot more sure than we were this coming week, namely Alabama.
Alabama seems to have found a quarterback in Jalen Hurts. If they decide to stick with him and he's as mobile and they use that, can anybody beat them?
I don't think so if he plays like that. Obviously, competition will be tougher once they get into the meat of their schedule. I think we brought up that USC, one of their weaknesses was their lack of depth on defense. I think that really showed. But I love that Alabama's going to the route of the mobile quarterback. I'm not sure why they haven't done it before. That's a scary team to play against if they're going to have a quarterback that can throw it in and run it.
Saban added another mind to the collection, bringing in Sarkisian as an analytics guy. That could only help moving forward if he's sober.
You would think. I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not sure if he's analyzing the team, 6 packs of beer or what, but I always liked him when he was at USC in Washington, so I think it's a good pairing. Him and Lane Kiffin obviously very familiar with each other.
One of the bigger surprises I had from the top teams was Clemson. I thought they struggled. I thought Watson struggled. Extremely impressed with Mike Williams, the receiver at Clemson. And I thought Auburn really hurt his chances winning this game. I don't really know what Gus Malzahn was thinking with 3 quarterbacks, running them in and out of the game at random times. I have no idea what was going through his head.
You know who Gus Malzahn reminds me of? An offensive-minded Les Miles. Like, that's who he is. He's the Mad Hatter 2.0. He's almost got too many thoughts in his brain. I hate the multiple quarterback thing. I think it killed Ohio State last year. I totally agree with you. I think that lost them the game.
Yeah, going in on our preview show, we talked about how it worked for some teams, how it didn't work for others. And one team it turned out to hurt, in my opinion, was the Irish on Sunday night. Kaiser drives them down the field, makes it 7-0. I don't know why you go to Zaire on the second drive.
I am assuming it was just a respect thing for Zaire, but there was clearly he was the lesser of the two quarterbacks. I mean, it wasn't even close.
I thought Deshaun Kaiser was very impressive, maybe the best quarterback I saw all weekend.
He was the best quarterback that I saw. I think he looked like a top 10 pick to me. He is huge on TV. I don't know what his official stats are, but he looks huge. He's got a great arm. He looked like he was making reads pretty quickly. I think it was a respect factor that they gave Zaire a couple chances. Maybe he was impressive in practice or in spring ball. I don't know, but I'd be shocked if he's getting any run the rest of the year, barring injury.
The one team the two-quarterback system did work for was the Longhorns with their 18-wheeler package. But it seemed that they have defined roles for that Swoops when he comes into the game, which is, I think, why it works.
Yeah, I think you know that it's basically a run play when he comes in, so it's almost like a Tim Tebow package with the NFL, sort of. I kind of like the traditional quarterback the first two quarters. I liked how their offense moved. It was quick. It was up-tempo. I liked that a lot.
I was really into that Longhorn team. Huge win for Charlie Strong in the program. And I was impressed with Buechele in his first start. The kid looks like he could really sling it.
Yeah, I like him. I'm a Charlie Strong fan, even more so now after watching that game, I think.
I will say that I will be interested. I haven't had a chance to really get into the lines, what their Week 2 line against UTEP might be. Week 3, Cal on the road. This could be a good spot for UTEP.
I have too much sentimental value right now on Texas. I need a couple days to digest that. Because we did hand out 3.5, hook 'em, so.
Yeah, sticking in the Big 12, the other Red River team, Oklahoma. Bob Stoops comes through again for us. The man is just unbelievable in big games.
I only got to see a little bit of this game. I thought Ward was very impressive. I think he might have stuck his name kind of at the bottom of the Heisman pile. But I was pretty shocked to see the score at 31-17 or whatever it was at one point.
Yeah, Houston's fun to watch. They play really aggressive, not afraid to make mistakes. They don't ever seem like the moment's too big for them. And that's a credit to Tom Herman, who appears that he's going to be able to name his school in the offseason and probably his salary.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to leave. I think he's building something pretty good there, even though it's only his second season. They got their, I saw the stat that they got the only 5-star prospect ever to sign with a non-Big 5 school.
That is correct.
I think he might stay there if he's going to get paid, unless something crazy opens, like USC or something. But they look good to me. This is the game I had as a definite L for them. They might sneak their way into a conversation late into the year.
Week 3, they go to Cincinnati. October 8th at Navy. If they could manage those two, the big one, November 17th, home, they host Louisville.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's their season. If they can win that game somehow, I think they're in the conversation. And
with it being November 17th, late in the year, a big win like that will grab attention.
Yeah. I still think Oklahoma is not out of it. I think they can run the tables from here on out. Obviously, they're probably going to have to now, but it was a weird thing with their offense. It didn't seem like their offense had many opportunities. If you look at the numbers, their numbers look okay, but they just didn't commit to running the ball. They lost time of possession by a lot, and their defense is really what stuck out to me as disappointing.
They're going to have a big 3-week stretch coming up. They get UL Monroe this week, but then the big one with Ohio State. They actually have 2 weeks off, 1 week off before they go to TCU, and then the Red River Shootout with Texas. So 3 huge games for them.
Yeah, they're going to have to look at some tape on defense with Ohio State coming into town. If they couldn't stop Gary Ward at all, JT Barrett's going to be a problem.
Yeah, Ohio State and Michigan did exactly what we thought they would do, rolling Hawaii and Bowling Green. You briefly touched upon LSU and the jump with the college football. To me, there has to be somebody on campus who could throw the ball better than what Brandon Harris does.
I mean, we said in our preview, they never have a quarterback. I don't get it. I feel bad for Leonard Fournette because I actually thought he, against 15 guys in the box, looks pretty good still somehow. But, when your quarterback's QBR is 6.9, you're not going to win.
Yeah, I don't know how it gets better for LSU. Teams are going to stack the box and force Harris to make a throw. Nothing that he did on Saturday makes me think that he could do it.
No, I don't think Wisconsin's defense is that good. Now, granted, they did get some pressure, but, it's not like they have athletes all over the field that are running sideline to sideline. But you can't have, as good as he is, you can't have Fournette account for 70% of your total yardage. You just can't. You're not going to win like that unless you're playing, Mount St. Mary's.
And that's who they do play this week, Jacksonville State. So maybe they could right the ship. They probably won't get tested till late September at Auburn. So that'll be week 4. We'll see if they've made any strides. But something has to change, or this could be a disappointing year for Les Miles. And how hot do you think his hot seat is?
I mean, he was basically shipped out last year. I gotta imagine he was on the top of the list with your boy Sumlin. I would think those are the 2 names. The relationship Les has with LSU is very weird. It's like neither one wants to be there, but each summer they come to some sort of agreement. I don't really get it, so I can't really say he's on the hot seat because he seems like he always is, but nothing ever happens.
One of these years, one of them is going to have to pull a Shawn Michaels and Sweet Chin Music, their partner, and walk away.
I'm going to guess it's probably Les that does that. He'll probably take a rival job or something. I don't know, but my guess is Les will pull the trigger. I don't know who, unless LSU goes after someone like Herman. I don't know who they would go after right away.
Is LSU, obviously being in the SEC and the position they're in, and the way USC looked, it looks like they may be looking for another coach at the end of the year. Are those attractive places for Tom Herman right now?
They gotta be. I would think he's almost, barring some kind of collapse for this year. Let's just say they go 11-1 or something. He can almost pick his school, wait and pick his school. If LSU, I think that's you're just dripping in talent there in that state and the surrounding states. But you got a lot of competition for those kids. Not sure what other jobs would be more attractive than those 2, but LSU is a weird one. You get tons of talent, but you got high expectations, tough side of the conference, and lots of competition for recruits.
2 games that seem to have gone under the radar because of the other games that occurred this weekend. The first in College Station, big win for Kevin Sumlin. Almost blew a 17-point lead, but rebounded in overtime. I have to think that sideline got pretty hot for him to walk up and down as that lead evaporated.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good win for Texas A&M. I think it's more of an indictment on UCLA. Josh Rosen didn't look very good. 3 picks, threw for a bunch of yardage, but a lot of it came as they were trying to scramble to win the game. Sloppy game. Texas A&M's defensive line, I think, was the story. They looked really good. They forced some bad decisions. But other than that, a lot of sloppy play in this game.
Yeah, I agree. This seems how Texas A&M starts every year with a big win and slowly gives everything back as the year goes on. My biggest disappointment was Jim Mora Jr. having months to prepare for this game, months to prepare for that front four who just caused a bunch of havoc. He just let Rosen sit back there as a sitting duck. Never any three-step drops. Not anything to change. Not many screens. Not many wide receiver screens to push that blitz off any. I was really disappointed in Jim Mora Jr.
I think I mentioned, I'm not positive, but I think I mentioned him on my maybe possibility coaches getting fired list.
You did.
I just don't get the love with Jim Mora. He was not successful in the NFL. He hasn't been successful at UCLA, and to bystanders, I don't think he's done a great job. It seems like that's his MO. He's a terrible game planner. That's what he does. He gets some good recruits, but that's about it.
Well,
he's just not a good coach.
They should get back on track this week hosting UNLV, but then tough sledding coming at BYU, Stanford, Arizona, at Arizona State, at Washington State, and Utah in a 6-week stretch.
I don't love their chances getting through that without a few losses. I really don't. I was down on them preseason, even though I picked them on that side. I don't know. They look soft to me like usual.
The other game which flew under the radar to me, which cost us a win in our official picks, was the Georgia game. A fantastic game for Nick Chubb. I had no clue that he would be that effective.
I am shocked that he is that over 100%. He looked like to me. He looked like the Nick Chubb pre-injury. Shocked by that. With that said, Carolina sort of gave that game away. They had a lead there, and they just gagged, basically. Yeah,
they did. I didn't think that they had as much success against the Georgia secondary as I thought they would. And still, at 26-24, I thought we were going to be winners, and Chubb breaks that big one as they're running the clock out.
Backbreaker. They should have won the game. They didn't, obviously, but I thought the freshman Jacob Eason looked really good when he came in. I wish North Carolina had a possession or two more because they were just running the ball down Georgia's throat. They just didn't stick with it. I don't know why. They were averaging 7 or 8 yards a carry there for a while.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's what I was going to get at. Very impressed with Georgia's freshman quarterback. I think if he could play as well as he did this weekend, that they're going to be a contender in the SEC East.
I agree. Well, what I saw, he looks pretty polished for a freshman, and I guess you can have a little more confidence right away when you get to hand the ball off to Nick Chubb behind you, and he can rush for 222. But yeah, maybe Georgia's a little better than I thought they were.
The other takeaway I had is I think that Georgia defense will get better each game with Kirby Smart. And aside from Chad Kelly at Ole Miss, I don't know if there's another good great quarterback in the SEC. So they might not be as bad off as they could be with that secondary.
I agree. Chad Kelly is pretty good, especially in the first quarter last night. But other than that, even with Chad Kelly, I don't see a ton of threats in the SEC throwing the ball. I think with Georgia's defense, pretty young, pretty thin. I think it's trying to avoid injuries at this point.
Yeah, that was the other big game. The last big game to talk about, Florida State, Ole Miss. I was very impressed with DeAndre Francois, the freshman from Florida State. I thought he looked fantastic.
I think they have found another star. I thought he looked great. I am regretting a little bit the Clemson over Florida State in the ACC pick after watching that.
That is going to be fantastic. October 29th in Tallahassee. They're going to be tough to stop if he continues to progress as he did last night and Dalvin Cook should have some more lanes to run if he's going to play like that.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so impressive to me is that Cook, he had an okay game, 23 for 91, average 4 yards a carry, but that's not really what we've come to expect from him. And even with that, Francois just lit the place up. I liked what I saw from Ole Miss at the beginning. The corners were being physical. Florida State's receivers couldn't get any separation, but man, that kid can throw the ball. He ran it pretty well too. He's pretty athletic. Florida State's dangerous if he plays like that the whole year.
Yeah, there were a couple drives in that third quarter when Florida State really piled it on, where there was 3rd and long, and Ole Miss looked like they were going to get the ball back. And twice he made plays with his legs to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, and when I say they're going to be dangerous, obviously they're the 4th-ranked team in the country or whatever, so they're good. I mean dangerous to a team like Alabama where they have traditionally struggled with a guy like that.
Yep, you're right. We talked about USC spreading them out, but Florida State really could spread them out with this quarterback.
Yep.
They'll get tested 2 weeks. They go to Louisville on the 17th. So we'll get to see how good they are as they go on the road.
That should be a good one there.
Looking ahead to this week, pretty lackluster slate of games, which was going to be tough to top last week anyway. But the biggest one seems to be played in the NASCAR track, Virginia Tech and Tennessee. So
yeah, it seems like that happens every year where you get a great weekend and then you're let down the next weekend. I'm surprised you overlooked the traditional game that we usually like to bet on up in the Carrier Dome, Louisville and the Cuse.
Where are you leaning?
I don't know. I don't even know. I forgot Cuse had football this year. I need to do a little research, but they've been traditionally very good to us.
We start the season 0-2, but we get back right at it. Despite the lackluster college slate, we do get the NFL back this week, and obviously the BMW.
Yeah, I feel like for our European listeners, they might have had a little bet on Adam Scott top 10 again. That's an easy peasy winner. I could give you those every week, but we're holding ourselves to higher standards around here. Outright winners only.
We did go 4-4 in the big games, with Florida State getting us back to 500, 4-4. So not bad on that front.
Yeah, we'll do better.
Anything else you want to add to today's recap podcast?
I have nothing else. Looking forward to the preview podcast.
Yeah, we got the AFC, NFC coming up, and late in the week, the prediction podcast.
I like it.
Great job by you today.
You as well, buddy.
All right, see you.
All right, see you, bud.